In this video, we would be covering the following concepts of the Unit 1 of the AS Economics syllabus: the fundamental economic problem of scarcity, the factors of production and factor rewards, as well as the economic wants and needs. If you're thinking about a career as an economist, then you're going to be dealing with a lot of economic problems. The problems of the exchange rate, the problems of the balance of payment and unemployment and inflation, in surpluses in an industry and shortages in another product. But all of these problems are going to be stemming from one fundamental economic problem alone. And that problem has to do with the issue of scarcity. If it wasn't for scarcity, we would not be studying economics at all. So, what exactly is scarcity? Scarcity has to do with the fact that we have scarce resources. Scarce means limited, scarce means not enough, scarce means not plenty. Alright, so we have our scarce resources on one end, and we have unlimited wants, unlimited economic wants and needs on the other end. Alright, so since these resources are just not enough to suffice or fulfill our unlimited economic wants and needs, that means there's going to be a mismatch between the two. Alright, there's going to be a disequation between the two, and that in fact is the problem of scarcity. Alright, so our resources are not going to be enough. Let's come back to the point of what exactly are resources. So let's term these as resources in economics are also known as factors of production. Alright, they're also known as factors of production. Okay, so our factors of production are going to be simply anything that can be directly used in the production process to produce an economic good or economic service at the end. So factors of production are not going to be enough to meet the unlimited economic wants and needs. Hence, we need to make choices. All right, so the need for choice comes about. So who exactly is going to be making a choice? The society needs to be making a choice. And then we have three economic agents that go ahead and make up a society. The first economic agent is people like you and me, who are known as individuals, and we are in fact consumers in a society. Consumers in a society. All right. The second economic agent is going to be firms. All right. Firms are who? Firms who are producers or suppliers in a society. And then the third one is going to be governments. Governments, all right, who would be regulating the entire society. So all of these economic agents, not only individuals as well as firms and also governments, all of them would be making economic choices. All right. So economic choices are going to be made about which economic wants and needs to fulfill, and which one out of those do we have to forego. And the reason being is because resources are scarce over here. So just to give you a few examples of these choices, so consumers are going to be deciding which goods to buy within the finite amount, within the fixed amount of income that they have. Firms are going to be deciding which products to manufacture so that they're able to earn the highest amount of revenue. And governments are also going to decide whether they should invest more of their tax revenue into education or into healthcare or into national defense or other public sector projects. So, the entire study of economics has to do with understanding the choices that economic agents make. These choices are going to be relating to allocating these scarce resources towards these competing alternative uses. So, now we've been able to come up with a textbook definition of economics. Economics is nothing else but the study of how societies allocate the scarce resources that they have, scarce resources that they have towards competing and alternate uses. Let's now refer to resources. Resources are all of those factors of production that can be used in the production process to make an economic good or service. So we have four of these factors of production. The first one is land. So land is going to include all of those natural resources that we have. So all the earth and the lakes and the rivers and the mineral deposits are going to be part of land. The second one that we have is going to be labor. Labor is also known as your human resources. So technically, labor is all of those workers who are part of the production process, and they help you into producing an economic good or service. The third one that we have then is capital, and we're going to be denoting capital with an alphabet K over here, all right? So capital is going to be all of your equipment, all your assets, all your tools, all your machinery, tools and your machinery over here, that's going to be part of your capital. All right, so capital is going to be helping and assisting land as well as labor into producing the output that they have to produce. The fourth most important factor of production that we have is then the entrepreneur, all right? And the reason why I say it's the most important one is because it has two activities to do. The first one is that it takes a risk. Risk of what? Risk of investment, all of that money, all of the funds that they have in a business venture, all right? And the second one is then going to be organizing the other three factors of production. So organizing the land and the labor and capital, bringing them all three together in the production process to then make an economic good or service. Now that we know what factors of production are, we can refer to factor rewards, also known as factor incomes, which are the incomes that these factors of production earn in return of their contribution to the production process. So when an economic activity is being undertaken on land, land is going to earn rent. In return of the services of labor, labor is going to earn wages or a salary. Capital's return will be interest, and there are two ways of understanding interest. So interest is the amount of money that you earn on your savings as well as the cost of borrowing money from a bank. Since capital is going to be a large amount of money, we are making the assumption that firms would have to borrow funds to buy this capital as well as this equipment and this machinery. And hence the cost of this capital is going to be interest. And looking at it from another point of view, if this amount of money was not invested in capital and invested in a bank instead, it would have earned this amount of interest, and hence it's going to be a required return on capital. And in return of the two tasks of risk taking and organizing, the entrepreneur deserves a profit. All right, so the profit is going to be the remainder. Once when rent is paid on land and wages are paid on labor and interest is paid on capital, the money left is going to be the entrepreneur's profit, his income that he requires. Now let's divert our attention towards the other side, towards economic wants and needs, and the fact that there's a difference between both of them. Difference between needs and wants. All right, so needs are going to be the most basic ones on our priority list, what we cannot survive without. All right, so we have our basic needs over here, which are of food, of clothing, of shelter. Wants on the other end are good to have, like the new iPhone or a trip to the cinema or a fancy vacation or a beautiful painting in your house. These are all stuff that you can certainly do without. And then somebody's wants can be another person's luxury, or somebody's luxury can be another person's absolute necessity. So we get the sense that the scale of preference varies. Scale of preference, or the list of between our wants and our needs, can be totally different. And our wants develop and expand all the time. We see our friend enjoying a particular good or service and we want it too. Why so? Because our wants are never going to be satisfied. Which brings us back to this issue of scarcity, that our resources are scarce and our economic wants and needs are unlimited, they are plenty, and hence we need to be making economic choices. In the next video, I'll be explaining the concept of opportunity cost. If you want to view more content of the AS and A2 economic syllabus of CIE, don't forget to share and like our videos and subscribe to our channel, Economics Helpline.